hope to preserve the commons. That, says Hardin, is the inescapable tragedy. I'm John Leonhardt at the University of Houston, where we're interested in the way inventive minds work.
A transcript of this Engines of Our Ingenuity episode number 1602 is online at uh.edu/engines. Additional episodes are available by podcast.
Now back to Studio A and the award-winning Scott Micklin Morning Program on KSJE.
Back in the studio this morning, again, time for our Monday Reboot segment. That is the time when I get to talk with Lewis Campbell, who is with Cintigy Computer Systems here in Farmington, and we talk all about technology in the news. Lewis is joining us remotely. There he is. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Good to see you. You got some rain where you are this morning?
Yeah, we had rain, coolness, and cloud cover, and haven't seen that in a while, right? It's really hot.
I hear you. So that's been kind of nice. So what's been going on? Let's see. We didn't see you last week, I don't think. So what's been going on since we last talked on the air?
Well, the big news this week that's all over everything is Apple Computer is setting off some seismic earthquake waves. I can't talk, by suing ChatGPT.
That's right.
So
Why are they doing
there
that?
are a number of employees with Apple's AI, involved in Apple's AI push that were hired by ChatGPT, and now Apple is claiming that those employees have taken trade secrets with them. So this is pretty seismic. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm guessing this is going to be a long-fought legal battle. And honestly, even though AI is the big thing right now, and ChatGPT is getting a lot of investment dollars, legally, if you want to talk about just who can spend more money on lawyers, it's going to be hard for them to fight Apple, because Apple is still a much wealthier company.
Right.
So, we'll have to stay tuned and see how this turns out.
Interesting. But I guess it's still the burden of proof, right, is on Apple, right? They're the ones bringing the lawsuit. So I guess we'll see what happens. But I know in corporations like Apple or Microsoft or Google or whoever you're talking about, right, these industry secrets, right? This idea is pretty proprietary, and they guard those very seriously because that's kind of their bread and butter, right?
They do, but it's also a game, right? So this is something I think I've mentioned before. A long time ago, 3 or 4 lives ago, I was actually an employee at Microsoft.
That's right.
And they were first coming out when we made Windows 3.1 and all that stuff. And one of the things I learned very quickly at Microsoft was how to use how the company used the legal framework as a blunt instrument, like literally suing other companies, not because they thought they could win, but because they had much more money and resources, and they knew they could tie things up in court for so long that the other company would just go broke. And I watched Microsoft do that over and over and over again. And I'm sure it wasn't just Microsoft, right? This is a tactic. And in this case, there are those that are speculating that this is actually what Apple's trying to do. It's just, tie things up in court so long that they, wear ChatGPT down. So we'll see. This is barely beginning now, so we don't know where it's going to go from here.
Interesting, though, but interesting insight and strategy, I guess, behind that. But it certainly sounds like it could be, a strategy, right, to be able to do that with a company, or maybe just get them to settle, I guess, too, right, would be another option, right?
Yes, and that could be something that comes out of this. They may just have a big settlement. But if it is really a fight to keep their trade secrets, or if it's really a fight to just wear down ChatGPT until Apple can get its own AI business going off the ground, then you won't see any settlements being made anytime soon. It's something to look for. On my part, this is all speculation, right?
Sure.
I don't know for sure that anything I'm saying is right, but this is what I've seen before.
Right.
And in other news on the legal side of technology, Meta, we talked about before how Meta had lost their legal battles in California and New Mexico concerning the safety they provide to teenagers and children.
Right.
they're appealing the verdict in California. So we'll have to see how that works out as well. They probably, most likely, they will be heard on appeal. So it could be a long time before that kind of stuff is straightened out.
Right. Well, and of course, they famously kind of threatened to just pull all their services from New Mexico, right? If the decision was too onerous, I guess, for them to try to figure out how to deal with younger users or things like that. So that was another kind of threat that they issued.
And they haven't done that yet. So I'm trying to keep an eye on how that goes between them and New Mexico. See what happens here. I guess tomorrow morning, if we wake up and we can't get into Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp, then we know why.
Yeah, hopefully not. We're still on the air as far as I know, I think. I still see you, so that's good. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Interesting. What else is going on this week? We've got maybe time for one more tidbit.
Well, actually, a couple of things, actually. I'll try to be quick.
Okay.
The new mayor of New York,
yeah,
and the New York City Council have rolled out a click-to-cancel rule. And it's something that I've been looking for as well, is legally requiring companies to make it as easy to get out of a subscription as it is to get in a subscription. So if all you have to do is click a button and provide some information to get into a subscription, you will have to provide that to your customers, that way they can click a button to get out. They don't have to call somebody. So that's something I'm looking at that I think is really interesting. And then one last thing that's just really fun, I think, maybe, I don't know about fun, but interesting. So the electric car movement, right?
Yeah.
The idea of making electric vehicles hasn't quite spread to semi-trucks yet, right? These are big things that are designed to haul heavy loads. So making them electric is a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I would think the range issue would come into play for long-distance trucking and things like that, right?
But there's a number of vendors that have come up with a very, very unique solution. Instead of making electric cabs, the semi-truck has the cab in front that pulls the trailer in back.
Yeah, right.
They're making electric trailers.
Interesting.
And so the trailer has the same capacity to haul stuff, but underneath it has a bank of batteries, and then the wheels are motorized.
Okay, sure.
And so it's more of an assist, but the numbers show that it's increasing gas mileage for a lot of these long haulers that have tested it by like 40%, and it doesn't shorten their haul time because it's assisting, right?
Right.
And so I think that's kind of an interesting idea. So we can stay tuned and see how that turns out.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, very good. Well, Louis, you brought a lot with you after being gone for a week, so I appreciate that, and we'll try to catch up with you next Monday. How's that?
All right, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Scott, and everybody have a great week.
All right, you too. Thank you. That's Louis Campbell from Cintigy Computer Systems. He is my guest every Monday right here on KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico.